Alright, hello everybody and welcome to a little tutorial on how to add different textures to a sculpt. Yes, this is a sculpt, it is not a mesh. So I am going to choose different parts of this to have different textures covering it. And then I'm going to put it all into, of course, one texture to export so I can use it in Second Life. So the first thing that I'm going to do is after I've made this, I'm going to go into edit mode. And I'm going to look at all the seams and all the edges, and I'm going to decide how I want to mark this, how I want, or not actually just marking it, but deciding where I want the different textures to be. So let's say on the edge of my mushroom here, in this whole area, let me go ahead and go into vertex select, sorry. So let me choose this whole ring here, and let's say that I want all of these faces along this edge here to hold their own texture. I could go ahead and also choose that one like that. And I can mark the seams, but the problem with this is you have to be careful because if I choose it like this, then all of these edges going from vertically from the cap towards the under part of the cap, those are going to be marked as well, and that just means more issues putting the texture on because we don't want to have to put a texture on each and every one of these. We just want the same texture going all the way across. So I'm going to uncheck the bottom one, and I'm going to mark this seam first, so Control E, and I'm going to mark it. Then I will choose the one underneath it, and I will Control E, and I will mark that. Then I have to decide where I want the rest of my markings, or my little pieces kind of like to accept different textures. So I'll do this one here, Control E, and mark seam. Now all of this under the cap will accept the same texture. All of this one here around the edge will accept the same texture, and the same thing goes for the top up here. This will accept the same texture. And the bottom, but maybe I want to go a little further. Maybe I want a few more markings in here. Maybe I want the cap up here to be a separate one right here, so I can Control E and mark that seam as well. I think that's probably going to be the majority part of it. Nothing that I do can't be undone, so I can experiment a little bit. Control E again to mark the seam. But I don't want to do too many at once. I don't think you need me to do too many to get the idea of what we're doing. See, we're not bringing this in as a mesh, so we're not going to even unwrap it. But we are going to pull up a UV image editor to see what we have here. And I turn my locks on instead of deselecting everything. So that's what I have here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into face select mode. And that is so that I can choose faces rather easily. Let's go ahead and open up a UV image editor. And here we're going to make a new material. So click on New, give it a name, and I just named this one Mushroom TX for mushroom texture, and then click OK. Now, not much is happening there, right? That's okay. We don't need it to. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to right click on one of these faces. I'll hit L on my keyboard, and it chose the wrong thing. So let's see what happened here. There we go. So I've got L here, or a whole island selected, and you can see where on the sculpt map that area is represented right here. Okay, after I get this area selected that I want to have its own texture, I'm going to go up to the Materials tab and create a new material for it and assign it to those faces. Then I'm going to come up to this next area right click on a face, hit L so that those are selected, and I'm going to create a new material for them and hit assign. I'll come into this one then, hit L, make a new material, and hit assign. This major part of the cap, Control L on it, a new material, and assign. And then one more, a cap up here, the top of it, Control L, a new material, and assign. Now, each and every one of these materials here can have their own textures associated with it, right? So why don't we just create a texture for each one of those materials? We're going to go to the very top slot, which is our first material here. And that, as you can, oh, actually, I forgot to do the bottom here. So down here at the bottom, Control L, oops, Control L, and then a new material for that as well. Come down here, new material, and then assign those faces to that material slot. Okay, now for the top material slot, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on textures after I've clicked this one or chosen this one. And you'll see it has no textures to it right now. So let's add one. So just click on here, click new, and then you get all these settings. The ones that we need for our own textures brought into Blender is we go to clouds here and click on that. And we want to choose image or movie. After we choose image or movie, you'll see you get an open here. And what this does is it opens up your internet or your computer files. And you can choose your texture from there. What I've done just to make this a little easier was I brought these textures in already. So if I've already brought textures in Blender anywhere into this project, I can pull them up over here with this little menu. So let's say I want the bottom of this one to be, I don't know, this color here. Actually I don't think I want that one to be that color. So let me go here and let me re-choose one. Let's just choose that one for now. Alright, so that one's done, right? Now I'm going to go on to this, back to my materials tab. I'm going to choose the next material down. And I'm going to go to the textures tab for it. And you'll see that one has no textures to it. You're going to say, oh my god, that one disappeared, but it didn't. The one that we put in here was assigned to this set of faces. Now we want to get the one for this set of faces. And I accidentally chose it by clicking on it, but I just click here. Images or movie is set. And then I can come down to this button again, and I can choose a different one. Go back to the Materials tab. Actually, I changed the first one. Alright, so that's no big deal. So the first one now has this material in it. Okay, now go back to the second one and choose a new slot for it. Change this to image or movie. Come down here and choose one of these textures, and now that's assigned to it. So then I'm going to come back to my materials, slot number 3, textures, new, image or movie, pick a texture, and there we go. Back to the materials, and yes, this gets a little repetitious, but it's a lot more fun when you're doing it yourself than when you're watching somebody else do it. And you'll be picking out your textures and your colors and all that stuff. So I'm just picking random ones, kinda. Material, texture, new, image or movie. Come to where I have them preloaded in there. And then back to the materials. I have one last one here. The textures for that one. New, image or movie. Where to go? There it is. And then this button, and I will choose that image. Alright, so now those are all done. Those we finished. Now if I click all of this, you can see the whole layout of the vertices or the faces from here. And we don't get to change these on a sculpt map. This is where this is different than a mesh. For a mesh, you'd be able to manipulate these and move these around, but we can't for a sculpty. So what we can do though is, like I said, we can put different materials and textures on each of our parts. So now we want to see what we're doing. We're going to have to go into the world settings up here, and make sure that we check mark ambient occlusion. Ambient occlusion works like world lighting in Second Life. It kind of gives you light from everywhere, and that's just what we need. Then what we can do is come up to the render button, which is right here, the camera icon. We're going to come all the way down to the bottom, and from bake mode we are going to choose textures. Remember, when you do this too, all of this should be selected, and then click on the word bake. And now you'll see that all of these textures that we've chosen for the different parts have fit into our grid really nicely. Yeah, those turned out pretty nice. Now if you want to see how they're going to actually look on your sculpt, to make sure that this is what you want, click N on your keyboard while you're hovering in this window. Go to display. On display, go down to textured solid and click on that. You can then go into edit mode here, and you can kind of see how that turned out. Now I probably should have like the same color here, but that doesn't matter. And this does look kind of funny with a dot up there, but it's all good. This is just practice. And the good thing about this too is now that you see it here on your mushroom or on your object, you can go back and you can change this if you want. So let me go back and change this to this white one, and I'll show you how easy it is to remember which one it is and stuff like that. So I'm going to click on this one and go to the materials tab, and now I know that's material 003, right? So I'm going to come up here to this one, and this is material 004. So I'm going to go to the textures tab for this one, and I am going to come down here. Oh, I didn't name them here. Let's just guess that it was this one here. That pretty much looks like what it is. So I'll choose that one, and then come over here, and that should be done. Now we can go ahead, come back up to our render settings, bake that another time, and you can see now that it changed to the right texture. And now here it is on our sculpt map, and it looks perfect, and I really like that. And thank you for watching. Have fun.